Thanks for joining me today. So today I just wanted to do a quick video to talk briefly on cells, specifically the making of cells with only paint and water. So today, as you can see, I've got my paints lined up here. We've got Brilliant Blue here by Liquitex Professional. We've got Cadmium Red Medium by Golden, Titanium White by Liquitex, Ivory Black by Liquitex, Phthalo Blue Green shade by Golden, and also by Golden, Alizarin Crimson. So all of my paints today are only mixed with distilled water, and that is it. Nothing else in them. No silicones, no additives of any kind, no pouring mediums, nothing. Just paint straight out of the tube and mixed with distilled water. One of the more common ways that, or pours I should say, that people do to make cells is swipes. So today that's what I'm going to be demonstrating for you guys, is a swipe doing just paint and water and all the cells you can make. As you can see, there is a design on my canvas here. This is completely dry, but it was something that was an experiment. So this is a piece I'm just going to continue to experiment on, and that's what I'm going to do here today. So what I'm going to do, okay, so all of these paints, just so you guys know, are mixed to a fairly thin consistency, not thin enough for a Dutch pour, but still quite thin nonetheless. Now, all of my colors are mixed to pretty well the same consistency, except for my black color, which is going to be my swipe color. That one I have done just a little bit thinner than the rest. So, in simple terms of what's happening here is that when you do a swipe and you lay all your colors down first and then you swipe your color over top, the top swipe color, typically you're going to choose a more dense color for this. So a black or a white would work really well. That top color is going to sink down through the other colors of the paints. Those colors are then going to be forced upwards towards the surface. This is what creates those cells. If you can successfully layer a few different colors on top of each other and have your swipe color go through them, that's going to give you those multicolored ring cells that people love. To make it easy for you, if you want to do this at home and for your best chance of success, what I highly recommend would be to choose a mix of transparent and opaque paints. You want to have both, right? Every single paint has a different density and different specific gravity, so you need to work within those. But if you don't know off the top of your head what that is for those specific paints, well, you can go onto each of those paint makers' websites and they will have a density chart for you so you can see which one's which. Now, I know for me, just for all the studying I've done, black and white are two of the heaviest, white being typically almost always a titanium white is going to be one of the most densest paints out there. And that's specifically just for what's gone into making it, the pigments and what's gone into the pigments itself. Lots of different science behind that as well. So here we go, let's get started and I will show you what I mean. I know for a lot of people this whole cells and silicone is a big issue. To each their own. Me personally, I just really like to only use paint and water no matter what technique I'm doing, and I've found success with it. So just, you know, if you really want to go and learn about it, I would highly recommend going and looking up the Riley-Taylor instability principle. That, if you don't have an understanding of how to make cells, will really guide you down the right path. Okay, let's get started. So the first thing I am going to do is I am going to put an opaque color down first, being my cadmium red. Then I'm going to layer a transparent color. Then I'm going to go back to opaque. I'm going to do one more opaque. Do a transparent color. And just so we cover the rest of the canvas. That is more than enough paint for that. Just gonna try and get everything all a little more across the canvas. So for my swiping tool today, all I am using is just a piece of paper towel that I am just going to, as you can see, spray down with a little spray bottle here. Not going to soak it, I'm just getting it so that it's damp. Now, I want to keep this nice and straight. Now what you're going to do here is drop the edge of your paper towel into your black, and very gently we're just going to pull down and run that black across the top of everybody and right off the bottom. So my paint's a little thick there still because that's where all that black is sitting. So the cells are having a hard time popping up through there. Sorry, just bear with the glare of my ring light there. But you can already start to see all of those cells popping up. Little tiny ones right now because I haven't moved it at all yet. I can grow those if I choose. So you can see where the colors were, right? I did red first, so I have all those red cells, then I mixed a bit of blue in, so I've got some blue. Okay, here. Just gonna go over all my edges here. Not so much for not getting my hands dirty today. Oh, am I kidding? I love getting my hands dirty with paint. I'm a tactile person. I enjoy touching it. Okay, so leave it like that for a moment. That already looks really cool. Now I chose to do my paint quite thin, which I do find that with thinner paint, for beginners is quite a bit easier to make cells on your own, but it doesn't tend to make quite as big of cells around, whereas a little bit thicker paint than this will create a little bit bigger of cells. Oh, cool. I don't normally really like swipes, but this one's kind of neat just because of how much of the color I was able to retain that black. Because it's so much thinner than everything else, it really sinks down. Now it'll start to come up, like this will change a little bit over the next couple of minutes. A few more cells will start to pop up, some things will happen. If I tilt it some more, I can grow some more of these cells out. I'll take you in for a close-up so you can see what I'm talking about with some of these multi-ringed cells in here. Like down here, I've got some cells that have got blue on the inside and then a ring of black and then a ring of blue. I've got white ones with, or red ones with white around them with a little bit of black in them. all kinds of stuff. I think that's just really, really neat. Now, if I was to do this on a much bigger scale as well, we could probably get a lot of these cells to be quite a bit bigger too, just for scale size alone, right? But this is just a small little 8x8 canvas. So let me bring you down for another close-up. Okay, push the ring light away, but of course my overhead light is gonna glare on there as well. Let my phone focus, but here we go. All the different colors in the rings. So here we go, guys. And this is all it takes, like I said, just to make cells with paint and water. And like I said, we could keep growing this if I want to move and expand these cells and make them bigger. Then I just have to keep tilting a little bit, use a little bit more paint so that I know I can tilt a lot off the canvas and grow these out. And yeah, that's all there is to it. Just paint and water, guys. You just have to understand the density of your paints and how to layer transparent and opaque paints and the different densities on top of one another and how they'll react with each other. And then you can get cells no problem. If there's any other techniques you'd like me to demonstrate with just paint and water, please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you'd like me to try, and I can certainly show you how I experiment and how I got there and any parts of my process. I'm also going to show you real quick on here another technique with exactly this same paint on how to get cells in a flip cup. And I'm actually going to kind of show you two ways. So here I've got the opaque cadmium red, the transparent alizarin crimson, the opaque brilliant blue, the transparent phthalo blue. Let's throw some black in there. Red, blue, blue, black. All right. I haven't done a flip cup in a really long time, and I'm kind of nervous about flipping this over because it's very full and there's still a lot of paint on this canvas. Oh, crap. Okay, well, this little cup just kind of fell over in there, and that didn't quite work out the way I intended it to, but hopefully this little middle part where I was actually able to kind of flip it will still do as I intended, even though we had a little accident there. Boop. Oh yeah, look at that. Tons of cells coming up already. Didn't matter that I made that little flop. We'll just call that a flip oops cup. Now, actually, before I tilt that, so now that I've got a ton of cells already happening right in here, they're just little tiny baby ones, but as I tilt and move this out, those cells are just going to grow and widen and widen. Now, one thing that you could also do to create yourself some more cells and some lacing at this point is you could take, say, a white paint, and you could put it all around this puddle right here, and then you could fold it over top, and then you could tilt it out. Actually, why don't I just show you? Hopefully I have enough white. So just, now all I'm gonna do, just try and take a bit of that white paint and move it over top. So this is kind of like a swipe, sort of. Trying not to get the outside here. Now, typically I would have put quite a bit more white around there. I just didn't have any more left. Oh, that'll work just fine. More than enough. Just popping some air bubbles. All right, now keep an eye on how it changes. I'm gonna try and move fairly slowly here, but this paint is fairly thin and I've got a lot of it. Sorry, trying to tilt towards you guys. Okay, now something just happened that actually is a great time for me to explain something that I mentioned in one of my videos. If you saw it the other day, I spoke about how being able to thin paints out to a certain extent with just water without having to use a medium, and what happens if you thin it out too much without using a medium. So the white and black that I used specifically were Liquitex Basics, whereas the other Liquitex I used was a Liquitex Professional. Now, as you can see here, and I will take you for a close-up, it looks kind of cool. Looks like it's sort of doing that fractal business. It's breaking apart. It's giving you these weird little squares. That's actually the paint and the pigment's breaking down. It's too thin. It couldn't hold up to the amount of water that I put in it, which isn't even thin enough for a Dutch pour, but was still thin enough for it to break the paint. So that's just showing you that unfortunately Liquitex Basics is not as strong of a pigmented paint as a golden or as Liquitex Professional. Obviously that's the difference between student and professional quality. The Liquitex Professional in Brilliant Blue is holding up just fine to that much water. It's having no issues whatsoever at all. I want to just show you guys there are certainly more than one way to do your pours without having to use anything in them, any sort of additives at all. I mean specifically any silicones or anything like that. You know, silicone makes the process easy. Make sure that you don't, you know, you'll succeed every single time and make cells for sure. You'll make those great big huge ones, and that's fine if that's what you like aesthetically. Hey, awesome, all the power to you. Go for it. Do your thing. But me personally, I would rather buy better quality paint and not spend money at the hardware store. Me personally, I just find that kind of odd. Some of the things that are put into the paintings, yeah, they do give really, really cool results sometimes, don't get me wrong, but just not for me personally. I just really like working with just paint and water and seeing if I can create the exact same results. So again, there's another one for you. I'll take you down for a close-up in a minute when my hands are all cleaned off, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, this paint breaking here, and I'll show you all of these cells that are forming in here. There's lots of, well, they're all over the place, lots to look at. So I will show you in just a moment. Be right back. So it does look pretty cool. But here, that is what I'm talking about. Your paint is starting to break. Those are the pigments not holding up, and the molecules are starting to break apart. Sorry, I'm trying to simplify this as much as possible, but that is essentially what is happening. And here are, now I haven't tilted these or anything to make them grow. I don't have enough paint on here to tilt very much more off the canvas without leaving it pretty much bare. So I wouldn't be able to grow those right much more anyways, but lots of cool little things happening in here. Kind of looks like a snowy mountain there, hey? And like little trackway, valleyways to walk through the mountains. Hi guys. So I'm doing a third pour on this canvas here. There's so much paint on this, but that's okay. I just wanted to just do one more on top of this. So I started with just some brilliant blue, and then I'm going to go with some cadmium red, phthalo blue, a little bit of crimson, as you can guess, I am going to do a quick little Dutch pour on here. There we go. Again, just paint and water. This one obviously doesn't have as many cells in it. It does have quite a few across it in here, but there is a lot of paint underneath there, so it's probably going to have a hard time fighting, but I bet you a few more cells will come up over in a few more minutes, and if I torch, especially in that little area right there again, I'll probably get quite a few more cells pop up in there. Take care. See you soon.